x plus 2y equals 2. I'm going to move the x over so it becomes negative. And then I'm going to divide everything by 2. Yeah. So I get y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 1. Okay, so this is what I'm going to graph in red. My y-intercept is 1. I have a negative 1/2, so I'm going to go down 1 over 2. And I'm just going to do that a couple times so that I can get a nice pretty line. And I want my line to be red. And I also want it to be fatter. Oh, not quite that bad. There we go. Okay, so that's my first graph. Okay. My second one is already in y equals mx plus b format. So I'm going to look at this. My intercept is negative 3. So I start there. My slope is 2, which is the same thing as 2 over 1. So I'm going to go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. I like to get as close to the edge because then I can draw prettier lines. So, hold on. So then I'm going to draw this line. And finally,
wait a minute. So that's just 1, right?
This is number 1, this is number 2.
Yeah, but
this,
number 2, you put the 1 at the bottom.
Yeah, because it's 2 over 1.
That's what I was trying to
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And now here I don't have a y-intercept, so that's the same thing as saying plus 0. Right? If there's no b, b is 0. So put my point at 0. I have negative 1/2 slope again, so I go down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. And here's my line. Okay. Parallel lines. The definition of parallel lines are lines that never intersect. Okay, and by intersect, that means that they don't touch or cross each other. Okay. Parallel lines have identical slopes. Okay. Perpendicular lines.
Oh, lines that never intersect.
Right. Okay, perpendicular lines are lines that intersect at a right angle. So they intersect at a 90-degree angle. Okay, slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. Okay, and that might be a little confusing. What that means, negative reciprocals, they're opposite signs. And flipped. And I'll explain that a little bit more in a minute, okay? And if you're neither parallel nor perpendicular, you intersect. You intersect at any angle, you just intersect. And then your slopes have nothing to do with one another. Okay, so there's no special relationship between the slopes. They don't match and they're not opposite reciprocals or negative reciprocals. They're just, like one might be a third and the other one might be -5. They're just random. Okay, so when we look at this, this is the same lines that we graphed in the front. I just carried them over, okay? That's because I didn't put the dots in. So if we look at these lines, what do they appear to be? Parallel, right? They appear to be parallel because they're not touching. Now, we don't know for sure 100% that they're parallel, though, just by looking at them. Because, yeah, they could be ever so slightly moving towards each other and then way out in the distance intersect. So we have to have the test for parallel. So is line 1 parallel to line 3? We have to check. The slope of line 1, -1/2, right?
Which the red was 1, right?
Yeah. Hold on, let me rewrite that. I'm going to put a little 1 on it. Okay, and the slope of line 3?
It's -1/2.
-1/2, -1/2. These two things are equal. Oops. Don't know what happened there. So since the slopes are equal, they are parallel. Okay. Now if I look at these intersections, line 1 and line 2, does that look like a right angle? It could be, it's hard to tell. So if I say, is line 1 perpendicular to line 2? Okay, this is the symbol for perpendicular. And this is the symbol for parallel. So parallel and perpendicular. That way you never have to write the words again. Okay, well, we have to decide. We already know that the slope of line 1 is -1/2. What's the slope of line 2? That's the blue one. 2, or 2/1, right? They're opposite signs and they're flipped. So they are perpendicular. So these are opposite and flipped. So yes, perpendicular. Okay, so if our slopes, hold on one second. So here's how it works. If slope 1 equals slope 2, we're parallel. What is going on with my pen? So 2 and 2 are parallel. 1/2 and 1/2 are parallel. -3/4 and -3/4 are parallel. These are parallel to each other. If we take slope 1 and slope 2, if slope 1 is 2, the perpendicular slope would be -1/2. If slope 1 was -2, the perpendicular slope would be +1/2. If slope 1 was -3/4, then the perpendicular would be +4/3. Okay, so you flip them and change the sign. So these are perpendicular. So opposite sign and upside down.
But can slope 1 and slope 3 be perpendicular, or like 2 and 3, or is it only 1 and 2?
On here or on the picture?
Just like in general.
Well, yeah, you could have more than, so like in this case, slope 2 is perpendicular to both slope 1 and slope 3. So you can be perpendicular to more than one line. See, because we have -1/2, and +2. So if you're opposite sign and you're flipped over, so opposite and upside down, you're perpendicular. If you have nothing to do with one another at all, so like one of you is 3/4 and the other one of you is 5/3 or 7/5 or anything else, you're just intersecting. It's neither perpendicular nor parallel. Without having to graph whether or not two lines are parallel or perpendicular or neither. So the first step we're going to do is we put them into y equals mx plus b so that we can identify the slope. Yes?
Is that the only one we put it in to find out if it's parallel, perpendicular, or neither?
Uh-huh.
No other formulas whatsoever?
Uh-uh. Because you want to know m. So I'm going to take this x and I'm going to move it over and change its sign. So this becomes 5y equals -3x minus 20. And then I'm going to divide everything by 5. And I'm going to get y is -3/5 x minus 4. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to move this x over. And I get -3y is equal to -5x minus 3. Divide everything by -3. And I get y is, okay, negative over negative gives me a positive. So I have -3/5. And here I have +5/3. So are these parallel, perpendicular, or neither?
One's negative and one's not, even though if you flip it, it would be the same thing.
Well, to be perpendicular, you need to be opposite signs and flipped. So we have a -3/5 and a +5/3. So these are opposite.
So they're perpendicular.
Yeah. And upside down. So perpendicular. Okay.
And they have to be either parallel.
Look at this. This one's already in y equals mx plus b, so we don't have to do anything with the second equation. But the first equation we need to put into y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to take that 2x minus 3y equals 12. I'm going to move the 2x over, which makes it negative. Right, so I'm going to pick it up and move it and change the sign. Then I'm going to divide everything by -3. And that's going to give me y is equal to 2/3 x minus 4. Slope 1, slope 2. Yeah.
What I've been doing it the harder way. I would divide it by 3, and then when the y became negative, I would just change all the signs.
Okay, that's fine too. As long as you change all of the signs.
But this one seems quicker and.
It's
like,
one less step, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got 2/3 and 2/3. So what do I know about these two lines?
Parallel.
They are parallel. And if you don't want to write the word parallel, you can make the symbol for parallel. Now on this example, I do have to put them both into y equals mx plus b first. Bless you. Okay, so I'm going to take the 6x and I'm going to move it over here. So it becomes negative because it was positive. I'm going to divide everything by -2. And I get y is equal to, I have -6 divided by -2, so that gives me +3. So that's my first one. And then my second one is 3x plus y equals 4. So I'm going to pick up that x again and move it. And I get y is equal to negative 3x plus 4. 3 and negative 3. What do I know about those two?
They're opposite.
They're opposite, but they're not opposite and upside down.
So
So it's neither. Okay, so they're both a 3, but one's positive, one's negative, so it's not parallel. And they're opposite signs, but they're not flipped, so it's not
Because
perpendicular.
there's no fraction.
Right.
So you can't flip something that's not there.
Exactly. Well, you could flip it by putting it over a 1, but then the flipped would be 1/3, right?
This
So
will be flipped.
to be perpendicular, this would have to have been negative 1/3.